Hello everyone, my name is Cap and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 Days to Die video. I'm doing all this in Alpha 17.1 on the PC, and this is stable build B9. Now this is something I made that I thought would be kind of fun. This is what I'm going to call the Zombie Maze of Death, or Zombie Death Trap. Basically, with the way pathfinding is set up here, what I did, I'll give you a tour of what I actually did here, and then I'll kind of show you how it works here. I used some concrete center pillars and stacked them up so that they are nice and high all the way around. Then I used some spike traps and made it into kind of a winding corridor here. And you see that it's just one block wide. Every so often I have blocks with barbed wire in them, and that is so that when the zombies are walking through here, they'll have to run into it, jump to get out, and it'll slow them down. And it winds all the way down around this way, down around this way, and down to this way where I'll eventually be standing, and I have control of the switch, which will turn on the electricity. You see, at the moment it runs through here, and it's got a line running all the way around through most of the parts that they're going to be walking in. I didn't cover the last part here because I got to give myself room to stand, and the major first part of the runway here, they're not going to run into anything at all. But so with the pathfinding here, if you have a zombie set up around the outside of it, they will try the best way to get to you. So as long as I'm standing on the ground over in the corner, they will run all the way around this thing and run right down the middle and then trip over this or run into it. Now, I'll show you real quick what'll happen. Let me get Sylvia in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn her on so we can see what she does. Let me fire a shot. Okay, so now she's going to take off running. You'll see she'll run right through the path here, and she won't even hit hardly any of the spikes at all. So the most of the damage she's going to take is going to be involved in actually running into the electric line and tripping over all the barbed wire. And this is the basis to how it's actually going to work while they're here. Of course, because they're going to just run into each other and pile in, and it'll slow them down a little bit. Now, the theory behind the way I have this set up here is if there's enough of them piled up, they'll eventually nudge each other into the spikes themselves and take enough damage to where, you know, it's not just electrical damage, they don't just run into a single file line. So you can see it does a pretty good job of keeping her going. She's getting hit by the barbed wire. If she deviates at all, she'll run into the spikes. She's going to get electrocuted. And I made sure to put all the electrical poles on the outside of the actual trap itself here so that they're not going to run up and accidentally beat on any of the poles and cause problems with knocking it down or destroying any of the electricity. So let's go back into normal mode here. Alright, let's fly back up here. And so now let me show you what'll happen if we get a bunch of them here. Okay, so what we do here is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn in 25 of them. Let's get a 25 Feral Sylvias. Now, let me see, I can get right over the top of this thing so I can, you know, fly down, pause the camera, fly down. Should be okay on the ground. Okay, so now what we're going to do, turn the AI on and ring the dinner bell. And so now we can see what happens when there's 25 of them running here. So you can see they still run in a nice, you know, straight line here. And they'll push each other kind of through the horde a little bit. So they'll get through the electricity a little bit better than there's just one at a time. But see, the theory is that they run in, they pile in, they start bouncing sideways. And this one they start running into each other. And that'll actually do quite a bit of damage too. Now, the iron spikes, unfortunately, they don't have a huge durability. They don't do a ton of damage. So if enough, you know, horde comes through here, you will have to do some repairs. And that's one reason why I made it so I can turn the electricity off from where I'm actually at, so that they don't actually, you know, I don't get shocked while I'm trying to repair it too. But you can see for the most part, it's doing a pretty good job of, you know, doing quite a bit of damage. We got some people dying here. You can see they're slowly dying, and they got a long ways to go before they'll get to me. So, you know, as far as I can tell, we'll just let them run here, but as far as I can tell, they'll probably all die before they get to me. They'll try and leapfrog over each other to get past the barbed wire, and you see they're kind of hopping there, but that's when they start running into the spikes. And so we've got a decent amount of people already dead now, but let's hang out right here just in case. We can kind of see what's going on over there, but that way if some of them do actually make it over. Now I could do some extra things on this last little bit of an aisle here if I needed to, but let's see here. Okay, are y'all all dead now? Let's see. Was that it? Okay, so that was it. So yeah, there's quite a few bodies, and sometimes you may have to go through and replace the barbed wire in places where they did actually break it. I did notice when I was doing this, because initially I would just do one long trench with barbed wire, but I noticed that when they fell down in there, since they didn't have to jump out, they just broke the barbed wire almost instantly, and it didn't really do anything. But even having something like, let me see, we'll start this over here, get her there, stay right there. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you, is by having this sort of a setup like this while I'm on the ground, even though she's behind us. Let me turn that on so we can see her live. When we turn her on, they will go all the way around to try and get to the front of the base. Even though I'm over here and the closest way to me is right over here, because of the way their pathfinding is with all these center poles set up like this, they can't just run to me, they can't climb to me, they can't jump to me, so they will just go to the closest entrance that's possible, and that's going to be right over there. And so they're going to go through the same kind of gauntlet they did before. Alright, so we got them all cleaned up here, so I can move down along the line here and kind of show you what's going on here. And of course you can loot a little bit here. Now, if I'm doing this in God mode just because I don't want to accidentally run into the stupid things myself while I'm showing you this, you know, because it kind of sucks, you know. But it's not too hard to go through and do all the looting and kind of repair some things. You put some more barbed wire down inside the holes. Back up a little bit so I can actually get it in there. Like that, and jump over, and then you can go through and get all the loot bags that they wanted. And what I'm going to do also is, because I know people want to see it, is I want to fire this up against the Blood Moon Horde. But you see right now, and get stuck on the barbed wire, this is the same thing the zombies have to deal with. So, it does actually work pretty good. It's not the most awesome trap in the whole world, but I think it's pretty cool. And it's one of these ideas that I thought was pretty awesome, and I kind of wanted to show you with you guys. And it's not that challenging here. Now, what I did on this outside, in case you're wondering, is I put up barbed wire here because this is, in order for me to get around where I needed to, I had to run the wire outside here. And there was a few times when I was testing this, that it being this far outside the wall, that the zombies would start running into the electric wire right here. If they came in from this side, get stuck, they'd hop up on top of each other and start beating on the top of the blocks, and sometimes even jump over. Now, once they got inside, it wasn't causing any problems still. And I'm not sure what that little blue cube is here. I may have accidentally hit a button to enable some weird developer thing. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily matter. But so what we're going to do next is I'm going to get it to a Blood Moon Horde, let it fast forward a little bit, and we will see how it would work out against a standard Blood Moon Horde, and see if it's something viable at all. So, we'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, so I'm not quite sure before I start this up, because I'm just going to do a day 7 horde here, and I know people say, well, what about cops, and what about spiders, and what about stuff like that? Now, they will definitely cause a little bit of a difference in the way these work out. If cops can see you, they'll definitely try and vomit through the bars and hit you. If spiders are there, they'll try and climb up the sides, or jump in here with you. Radiated zombies, they'll do the thing. This is just kind of something fun to see how it work out, but I'm not quite sure if I showed well enough how I made all this, so I just want to do a quick flyover here. So like I said, I used the concrete center pillars here, and I just rotated them sideways, and then stacked them on top of each other. And so I just made kind of this winding maze. Now, of course, you could make yours much longer. You could add more pits and stuff there. This is just a kind of a proof of concept to see how it would work out. This part right in the middle part here, there's nothing there because they don't get in that part. And I double stack the razors too high. That way they don't try and jump on top of it. They'll just be filtered down through the middle of the aisle here. And like I said, then I went through and just dug one hole deep every other space and put barbed wire in it so that when they do fall in it, they'll have to jump to get out. Now, I had thought about doing a row of barbed wire over the top of it, or a row of spikes, so when they jumped, they would hit them, but I didn't want to mess up their pathfinding, so I just left it as is. And then, like I said, I got the electrical wire run all the way through this, except for the very first part, right down there, and then the very last part. And let me turn on so you can see where it's at here. It starts from here, runs out across, goes this way, comes under, and I did all this one down, and see everything is one inside the ground here, and that way it is at foot level, so that anything, even crawlers running through here, will still trip over it. They're not going to get past it here. And then it runs over here, goes this way, comes up, and then goes down this direction. That way it hits all paths. Now, I could easily come back over this direction and go that way, or I could come over, you know, there's ways I could do it to get all the way over here, but I didn't want to do this starting path because I didn't want to mess up the way they're going to try to go to get inside here. But other than that, everything else is pretty much simple here. There's nothing really much going on to it. But yeah, the zombies can do quite a bit of damage. You can see where they piled up earlier, so that you have to go through and do a little bit of repairs, but you got to have forged iron to be able to repair these, so just keep that in mind if you're going to do this style setup here. So, anyway, we're on day 7. Like I said, I'm going to do just a day 7 horde. I'm not going to worry about trying to test this out on a day 14 or day 21 or something. This is just kind of see if I'm hiding over here, what happens if they get to me. So, I'm going to go through and do the last couple repairs on some of these places where they broke them down, and then we'll get all situated here. Also, one other thing, in case people are wondering, like, okay, Cap, so what happens if you accidentally forget that you have the electricity on and you have to get inside, or how do you get on side without hurting yourself? And that one's pretty simple. I mean, all you have to do is just come over to wherever you have your main setup in here and just, you know, nerd pull your way up here and then drop down inside, and then you can nerd pull the way back out. And that way you can drop in, you're nice and safe. And that way, if you wanted to set up a last little barrier here so they can't get to you as well, then you're good to go. But we're just going to hang out now and wait for the 7-day horde to show up, and then we'll see what happens. Alright, so we are coming up on the very first day 7 Blood Moon Horde. I do have it set to 64 zombies, and so we'll kind of see what comes up here. I kind of lit it up with torches, so I hope you guys can kind of see what's going on. This could be fun. You know, like I said, if you're going to do this for real, I would definitely recommend maybe make the corridors wind a few more times around, add some more different kinds of traps and stuff there, so that when they do come running in, that they have a lot more longer to go to get to you. Now, I don't know for certain yet. You see that first zombie ran all the way around. They're going to go inside this way. Got a couple trying to hit the outside of the wall stuff as they're trying to figure out a way to get to the entrance, but for the most part they're running single file line down this, and they're going to make their way through the trap here. Now, say I'm standing over here, so you know, and I do have God mode on, so I can, you know, not die by accidentally running into something. But so far, you know, it's doing okay. The zombies are making their way around the very first set of turns and stuff here, running into some of the spikes, but you know, nothing too tragic. Like I said, if you do get a bunch of cops in here, and spider zombies and stuff like that, some of the bigger guys, you may have a little bit more of a struggle, so you may want to reinforce a little bit more. This is kind of just a proof of concept of something that I thought would work really good. You're doing this winding corridor like this, making it single line throughout the middle where they have to run into a bunch of traps, will definitely keep you a lot safer, because they're going to try and go all the way around, and they're going to go through the path all the way down there to get to you. And of course, having this running electrical line here doesn't do a ton of damage, but it will hurt them quite a bit. And so even if they do make it to you, you don't have a whole lot you have to do to clean up. So for the most part, this seems to be working out pretty good. I'm just kind of chilling over here, hanging out, doing my thing. So we're just going to let this run for a little bit. Let me turn off the HUD so you can kind of see it a little bit. We'll just let it run for a little bit and see if anybody gets even close. Alrighty then, well, I think that's pretty much most of the horde. I mean, if you saw in there, yeah, not much actually going on here. Let's turn the HUD back on so we can see what we're doing here. I'm bleeding. That's okay. It's funny enough, if you notice the camera angle change, you're like, hey, what happened, Cap? A stupid vulture flew in and hit me. So that's something to keep in mind, that if you're going to do this, is that vultures will still come in and ruin your picnic. But other than that, we had some big mamas, we had some moes show up, we had a large quantity of zombies show up here. I mean, we had a ton of them go through, probably, well, 64, I guess, and none of them made it past the halfway point. You see that barbed wire still there, and that barbed wire still there, and that seems to be it. I mean, there's not any more zombies coming right now, so I'm not going to say it's safe for the rest of the night, but you can see it's only 1:30 in the morning, got a couple hours to go till morning still. And yeah, not much happening here. There'll be some repairs need to be made. They did do some damage, some spikes where they all started piling up over here. Probably even destroyed a couple of them, because it's not atypical for that to happen. But that's just part of it. But I mean, for the most part, like I said, the farthest they made it to was right here. And yeah, like I said, I have a God mode on, or that would have just ruined my lunch. And so yeah, I would call this pretty successful. Kind of want to know how this will work out on a bigger horde. I mean, if any of you guys have done something like this on a much bigger horde, let me know in the comment section how you think it would work out. Because this one worked out pretty good, other than just, you know, having no cops and no spider zombies. This one was pretty good size, and they didn't make it anywhere close to me. So anyway, like I said, this was all just for fun, just kind of a proof of concept and give you an idea of something that will actually work against a horde. It did pretty good. I didn't have any problems with it at all. If you have any questions or comments, you know, drop it in the comment section down below. If you found the video fun or entertaining or useful, you know, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. And be sure to subscribe if you're not already, so you don't miss out on future videos. And smash that bell icon, and you'll get notified when a new video goes live, like this one. Thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are awesome. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.